Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And I came across a video by Alexander Leonidas, aka AlphaDestiny, aka Strap-on Destiny, aka Grimly the Dwarf, in which he said hard work is not enough. Now, what I try to do a lot of times in these videos, I try to assess videos that people make on their own merit without necessarily looking at the other larger body of work that this person is responsible for. And what I would say is that this video is actually good in the sense of the message. What he said in the video was completely correct. I actually agree with the things that he said in this video, right? And if I were to take that by itself, if that was the only thing that he had ever put out, and that was my first impression of Alex, I actually wouldn't clown him at all. Right? If he actually followed and had been following the actual advice that he gave in this video himself and utilized it and taught it, there probably would never have been a fight between he and I to begin with. And let that sink in for a moment, guys. Had he actually followed this video, the advice he gave in this video, even 2 months ago, because he's been breaking this advice himself recently, even this year, he's been not following the advice he gave in this video, there wouldn't really be a reason for me to make fun of him or to clown him about stuff or to call him a con man or a charlatan, right? Because if he followed the advice in this video, he wouldn't be doing stupid shit like 2-inch presses on the bench press. And he wouldn't have been doing above the knee rack pulls, right? He would have never implemented those exercises or taught people to do them or endorsed them if he actually followed the advice in this video. Perspective. So, what did he say in this video? He more or less said that, yeah, hard work will get you to a certain point, but there's tons of people out there who are working hard. There are tons of people who are working hard and they still haven't reached intermediate status and they haven't reached advanced status as lifters. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. No doubt about that. And that is true. And he did say, look, I mean, proper training. If you get under the program of a proper coach, and you train smart on a proven system of training that is backed by exercise science, backed by physiology, backed by good strength coaches, you're actually going to get better results than someone who's training their ass off. Well, it's not exactly what he said. He said you'll do well not even necessarily training as hard as them, but if you do train really hard on those systems, you're going to get phenomenal gains. You're going to get the best gains you could possibly get. Now, I would agree with that. And I will agree with that point, that if someone only trains somewhat hard, you train reasonably hard on a proven system written by a really good strength coach, yes, you will get bigger and stronger and make better progress than a guy who is training as hard as he possibly can. Right? You will actually make better progress than him. That I'll agree with. All right? I will absolutely agree with that. I mean, you get, again, on a good system of concurrent periodization, once you finish most of your novice gains, because novice lifters really need training minimalism. I'm going to state that again. If you're a novice lifter, you need to be doing training minimalism and you need linear progression. You absolutely need that. And I legitimately mean that. If you haven't benched 2 plates aside, squatted 3 plates aside, can't deadlift 4 plates aside, can't overhead press at least 1 full plate aside for a couple reps, you absolutely need to be on a novice linear progression minimalist program. You absolutely need that. And you need to be putting all of your work into getting strong on those basic lifts. Now, once you kind of get through that phase, then you probably do need more advanced training. And he is right. We've come a long way with training program. There's a reason people are stronger than they were 40 years ago, 30 years ago, at least in regular gyms, at least people who are following good programming. There's a reason you're seeing strength numbers fall. There's a reason you see new records. There's obviously genetics, but it has to do with better training. And I would say that probably started 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. The training today isn't actually better. That's what I will say. Truth be told, I don't think training programming has dramatically improved very much, say, in the last 20 years. In fact, what you're seeing is sometimes too much bad stuff coming out of the evidence-based world that actually is regressing people, in my opinion. But, more or less, we did see improvements in exercise science, improvements in strength and conditioning coaching. And yeah, these lifts become the norm. Lifts that a lot of you guys out there, when I give strength standards, Because it's interesting. I give strength standards all the time, and people say they're insane. But the thing is, even Alex kind of agrees with the same strength standards I put out. He absolutely does. These are normal. This is the strength standards that guys with average genetics should be able to reach. Right? You should be able to reach this stuff with average genetics. If you're on good programming, and guys who are like, "What do you mean? I've been training my ass off. I can't bench 300. I can't deadlift 500. I can't overhead press 200. What are you talking about?" Yeah, that's normal, guys, to be able to reach those numbers. And if you've been training for years and you can't hit those numbers, it's not that you haven't been working hard. It's that you haven't been following good training programming. And that's the reality of it. He is right. Train smarter, not harder. You'll get better progress. Now, the point I will agree with Alex again is train hard and smart. If you follow proper training programming and you train really hard, you're going to get good results. You're going to get good results. Is it going to take you a while? Of course it is. It's going to take years. It's going to take years. But that is the truth of it. That's the reality of it. And I don't really have a problem with the ideas of what he promotes of saying concurrent periodization. I've promoted concurrent periodization for years. I've generally told you guys I either prefer to do Bulgarian style training or concurrent periodization, and sometimes I'll do blocks with normal, slow, linear, full body when I have reasons to. But given a choice, if I have the equipment, I have the time, I have the resources like I do now, I would much rather do something like either Bulgarian or concurrent periodization. That's why I'm using concurrent periodization now. I'll agree with those points. Well-written concurrent programs are extremely good. They do produce world champion level strength athletes in multiple sports, right? In multiple strength sports. No, they absolutely work. They work really well even for hybrid athletes. You go look at someone like Alex Viada who coaches hybrid athletes, right? He himself does powerlifting. He does marathons, super marathons, Ironman type events. He does all that stuff while competing in powerlifting. And he's not necessarily the best at them, but he's decent. He's decent at all of them. And Alex is strong with good endurance. He prescribes for his athletes concurrent style periodization. So again, it's a workable template. Joe DeFranco does a lot of concurrent periodization even for his guys getting ready for football. Guys who are trying to get ready for the NFL Combine. Go look at some of his stuff. He does concurrent periodization. And it's all pretty much standard in the strength and conditioning world these days for a lot of high-level athletes. It's good stuff if done correctly. So that's kind of the point that comes around to a lot of guys. If you really aren't at that point, you aren't an advanced lifter, and you've been training 3 or 4 years, and I mean an advanced lifter, go pull the strength and conditioning charts. Go look at those lifts versus the body weights. Those charts are easily available. Just go to Google and type in strength standards. You can find strength standards for this stuff. They'll let you know where you stack up. If you've been training more than 3 years and you're not an advanced lifter, pretty much across the board, and you're not reasonably good at stuff like weighted chin-ups and pull-ups on top of it, you probably haven't been training very smart. You might have been training hard, but you haven't been training smart. And again, a lot of guys think they train hard. They come in to do triple drop sets to failure with forced reps, supersetting everything, and think they're training hard, but they're not consistently training smart. Just beating yourself up into exhaustion every day without a proper game plan, without any sort of programming, without knowing what you're doing, without being able to balance fatigue management, without being able to balance all of your recovery curves, without looking at things like your work capacity and understanding how to improve work capacity so that you can train harder for longer and do it again more often, how to make your body adapt correctly. You can train yourself into the ground and you're still not going to make anywhere near ideal progress. And there's going to be some guy out there training half as hard as you are who's just training moderately hard on a good program consistently, who's going to blow you out of the water. That's reality. That's reality. And I'm talking about where you are in terms of performance, muscle mass, body composition, not necessarily talking about the way you look, because the way you look is a genetic component, a body fat component. That's physique. Physique isn't necessarily always indicative of how advanced you are, because how you look has a huge genetic component. We were talking about overall body composition, right? Measurable amounts of muscle. How much muscle do you have relative to your frame size? What's your body fat like? What's your performance look like? That's what we're talking about with the things like intermediate, advanced lifters, all of that. So, I'll agree with him. He's right. This video in its own right was pretty good. And most of my criticism to Alex would be, follow your own advice then, because you don't always follow it. And if you're really producing silly stuff like above the knee rack pulls and pin lockouts and all that, you're actually disregarding your own advice, because all these strength coaches that you cite, who you talk about, who you mention, who are these strength coaches that you look up to, would laugh at that silly shit and they would tell you it's stupid. And most of them do tell you it's stupid if you bother to listen. Yet you're doing it anyways. So I would say to Alex, this was actually a pretty good video. You should follow your own advice and not promote stuff that would fall outside of what you said in this video. That would be good advice. Take the advice that you gave in this video. If he actually took the advice he gave in this video, which he probably doesn't have the practical experience yet, if he did, I actually wouldn't clown him so much. I really wouldn't. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.